feeling my energy. You wanna dose? You're getting close to me. Ask me all these questions. What you trying to know? You take all your crystals everywhere you go. I don't care about the signs. You know I got what you like. All I need between the thighs. If we ain't on the same page, yeah. This is my age, this is my sign. This why I live, yeah. And what I like, this where I'm from. And what I do, this what I love. Yeah. How about you? This is my age, this is my sign. This why I live, yeah. And what I like, this where I'm from. And what I do, this what I love. Yeah. How about you? What's the move, babe? What we doing? Think I'm you, babe, I'm just coolin'. You know that you say now you on me. We getting lit, you feeling wavy. I don't care about the signs. You know I got what you like. All I need between the thighs. If we ain't on the same page, this is my age, this is my sign. This why I live, yeah. And what I like, this where I'm from. And what I do, this what I love. Yeah. How about you? This is my age, this is my sign. This why I live, yeah. And what I like, this where I'm from. And what I do, this what I love. Yeah. How about you?
Thank you for your patience, y'all. I'm coming. Just putting a little shout out here on social media.
I call all my power and all my energy back to me with divine care. Whoever, whatever is living off my light energy, run it back, get your own. I'm emotionally gifted, so I must guard that gift with wisdom and firmness. My openness is emotionally generous. I must be watchful. I'm seeing who are and aren't skilled to receive. I receive what others' blind spots are, teaching me about budgeting my energy and setting the boundaries. I have the right to tell people what they don't want to hear in the name of setting the boundaries. I also want to exhaust myself on people who ain't listening. I'm done with people pleasing and the attachment to make everyone happy with me. I won't share like how I used to share. I people wiser. I know now people pleasing isn't love, but it is fear. I am magnificent at releasing expired emotional ties to how I structure my life with people, knowledge, money, friends, nutrition, health of my body, love, and time. I'm free from over-explaining and justifying my choices. My cutoffs aren't personal, they're spiritual. Anyways, I call back all energy that belongs to me. I am not the caretaker of those who want to stay asleep. I release the programming of being overly responsible for the happiness of others. The divinity in me, you know what's up. Tell me who I should share my intimate energy with. I focus my energy on who sees me and skillfully respects me. Not those who are skilled in choosing their false stories about me. I notice and accept when there is unequal energy exchange. I have more mental real estate when I release people I bonded with through my trauma self and not through my healing self. Yet I am deeply grateful for the hidden gifts that divine used them for to help me see my worth. I speak the law of reciprocity and mutual exchange in my most intimate relationships. I now know misalignments aren't personal but vibrational. I roll myself into believing my emotional health is to create healthy boundaries for myself. I cast away the curse of suppressing my emotions.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much for your patience. We're going to get this thing going. This is kind of a shot of love, but kind of not. But I got to speak my piece on this one. The disrespect. Ugh.
God is dawn. Like and subscribe. Comment some night. Love in this light. This God is dawn. God is dawn. God is dawn.
Yes, with the sound bowl, the singing bowl tonight. Peace, world peace. Welcome or welcome back to God is Dawn Speaks. I appreciate you coming in. This wasn't a planned live. Let me say hi to y'all before I get started. You know, I got to greet my warriors here. I appreciate you guys showing up. What's going on? Well, Wayne, blessings. Beautiful spirit. Yes. Queen Quiche. Good to see you, love. You guys are amazing. No. Yes, yes. Hated Mrs. Superstar 1016. Welcome back. Yes, love and blessings, peace and light. Chrissy Power. Yes, welcome back, warrior. Hazel Lee. Yes, Michelle Hurt. Shout out to you and Cleveland, Ohio, babe. Thank you for coming in on this Sunday evening. Thomas Reese. Yes, give me that masculine energy. I need that. I saw somebody else. Miss Della, I saw you. Yes, Angela Boone. It's been a long time. Welcome back. Greetings to everybody who's popping in. This isn't a long live, but it's important, okay? It's important to address some of the stupidity on YouTube, okay? So, you know, it's Sunday, right? Typically on a Sunday, I'm chilling. You know what I mean? If I didn't do all my cleaning and whatnot on Saturday, then I'm doing what I need to do on Sunday. I'm in my word. I'm meditating. I'm trying to listen to things that are inspirational, all of that. But I saw on my timeline, I guess, an invitation from this Black CEO Media YouTuber. Yeah. So this guy was live. And he basically was like, yeah, I'm having an open panel for women only, female only, on this R. Kelly thing. Open panel, females only, right? He didn't say, only if you support R. Kelly do I want you here. None of that. And I hesitated before I even joined, because honestly, that was, I think, the first time in 3 years that I joined a panel outside of my own. It was the first one. So yeah, shout out to me. Because honestly, I do feel it's a waste of time and energy to even, not to say go back and forth, because that wasn't even the intention. And I don't think that's the way it was going until he decided to kick me off his panel. We're going to go through what was said, because I need you guys to hear this shit. And I think, to me, the word of the day is accountability. You know what I mean? They weren't letting this man be held accountable. And then when I say they, there were a couple of women on the panel. I'm going to pull up. This is like a screenshot of the panel when I was waiting. Took me like forever to get actually an opening and an introduction. He let me on and continued to speak for a very long time. I almost forgot where I was at. Now, you see the other two icons there. Well, there was a lady there, a Gospel Glam. She showed her face. She was there. And there was another lady, Nick, who was rude, but she was there. And they were there prior to me coming on and speaking on how R. Kelly was being railroaded, how R. Kelly, is basically being treated unfairly. We've heard it all, right? And I typically don't count people as beehive unless they cross the line to disrespecting victims and not, I guess, being open to listening to the truth. Like once they hear the truth come in, they shut down, they divert, they deflect, right? But before going onto the panel, I wasn't thinking I was going into the beehive. I wasn't. I was just like kind of observing the scene. From what I could tell, they were having decent just conversation. They were voicing obviously their frustration with the law, the legal system, and how things were going for R. Kelly. And as I continued to listen, I just knew I had to chime in. You know what I'm saying? Like, it took me a minute to go ahead and set up the StreamYard, put my picture on there and all that. Of course, I'm not going to show my face before I do it on my own channel, which I'm going to be doing soon, just to let you know. You know what I mean? Yeah. Shout out to me. You got to change, you got to shift, you got to elevate. And a lot of the reason I never showed my face, especially in the beginning, is because, you know, I was at a corporate job, had been on that corporate job for, at that time, probably like 7 years or so. So, you know, nobody's trying to lose their job and have somebody attack them and try to get them fired because they are voicing an adverse opinion about R. Kelly. So that's a big reason as to why I didn't show my face in the beginning. However, today things are different. I run my own business. And even with that, like, honestly, seeing everything going down the way it is, people who are in the middle of cases because they have been harassing and threatening people, like, I feel like they would be a fool at this point to try to take that route. You know, I could see it early on. Nobody really knew the lay of the land as far as YouTube. At least I didn't. I was brand new to YouTube. I think a lot of these people were brand new to YouTube. These people who are on here supporting R. Kelly. And people learned real quick that the feds are literally listening. Like, they're listening to everybody. Yeah, let me see in the chat. Okay, Riley and Zymir, good night. Good night, good night. So, what was I saying? So, yeah, anyway, so I went ahead and clicked on the link. He let me up. And yeah, I'm going to actually play the audio. And we're going to talk about what happened, because that was just ridiculous. Now, he's over there. He's probably still live, actually. And he has over 100 people in his chat. When I noticed, when I got off the live, I mean, I left on my own. He didn't kick me out. Like, he didn't boot me, but I left because he was literally saying, okay, thanks, but no thanks. Let me see, is he still live? No, I think it's finally over after 3 hours or whatever. But you know, you see my numbers here. We low over here, but it's okay because my replay is strong. And honestly, I think just with a handful of y'all here, it's what I need. You know what I mean? It's what I need as far as the energy exchange. So I do appreciate you guys and your patience. So let's see. Let me get this audio up. This is really just my little snippet. Here we go.
Up in here. What's up?
Hello, Queen.
Hey. Well, you might not like
Hey,
me so
guys.
much.
Hey,
So he called me Goddess the Dawn. First of all, I was like, and it took him, like I said, so long before he introduced me and had me come actually on the stage. But he had to really start off calling me the wrong name. But it's all good. I just want to get this off the screen real quick. Thank you, guys. Thank you, beautiful spirit. Okay.
Here's our Papa here.
Okay,
that's cool. Thank you for coming through.
Now, she said she was going to pop down. She never did. I guess she heard that I wasn't for R. Kelly and decided, well, wait a minute, let me stay up here.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am. I can hear you, Goddess. What's
Okay.
on
Well, first, I want to just say thank you for opening your platform. I've tuned in a couple times here and there. I also have a channel. But my opinion is adverse to probably most of the people here, including you, Queens, on the panel as well. So I just wanted to come in because I was listening and I'm like, it's a little bit one-sided. Let me come in to, just give my perspective as someone who does not support R. Kelly in this.
I do support the victims. I call them victims. I call them survivors and give them that respect. I've been covering this topic for, you know, honestly, the day after the R. Kelly docuseries came out, I started my channel. I would say that people, you know, I think there's a lot of things being said that I have, I guess, an opinion on, a counter opinion. So I want to start with the Surviving R. Kelly series, just because I know it comes up a lot as far as this is where the evidence is, this is why, you know, Kim Fox came out and everybody else. But I want to just shed some light.
Okay. I don't know why the audio stopped. I think the internet. Hold on.
Real quick.
Oh, there we go.
Man, you gonna finish, okay?
Yeah.
I got Goddess the Don up in here.
I don't know why it restarted. That is so weird. Okay, hold on, y'all. Let me get it back to where it was at. I don't know why I did that.
Of I guess an opinion on, a counter opinion. So I want to start with the Surviving R. Kelly series, just because I know it comes up a lot as far as this is where the evidence is, this is why, you know, Kim Fox came out and everybody else. But I want to just shed some light on maybe 2017, a couple years prior, there was a huge BuzzFeed article that exposed a lot of the things that
Thank you, Thomas, baby.
documented. As well as following that, there was a BBC documentary, I think the following year. Same thing. A lot of things came out that had never been heard publicly. A lot of these things that we're hearing prior to the trial in New York was hearsay, because obviously, you know, you're just hearing things from people who say they were there or people who know somebody, but when the trial happened and the feds are involved here, we got the doctor who has been this man's doctor for 25 years. The doctor came in and let us know that I treated this man for herpes, eventually prescribed pills. The blue pills were going around the houses. He even documented and described, what is it called? When the doctor, he examined, I believe it was Geronda, but he himself, you know, just spoke on the fact that he did for years treat R. Kelly and these girls and whoever else, women, girls. So that's something that I hear too. He never had herpes. There was no herpes. There was herpes. He also provided, I believe, 200 plus pages of medical report to document all of the stuff, the pharmaceutical pickups. They didn't even have to, I think they just called it in like, hey, it's me. I need those blue pills. So it's just a lot of things that I'm hearing. There's no evidence when there was evidence. There's audio, there's videos coming up in Chicago. There's 4 videos that literally in a transcript, like I think it was the grand jury transcript, that says his face is right there. There is no, and it's not doctored. These things have been authenticated. They're not gonna, the court is doing what the court is allowed to do within the law. So if we don't like what's happening, it's all about getting in and getting on the ground with these laws.
So let me ask you something real quick.
Yes.
You said they have audio of him doing what, sis?
Abuse. In New York, I'm talking. This was part of the trial. Some of the things we didn't hear publicly because it was shown to the jury only, or they listened solely, the jury. But in the transcripts, things were documented. I know people say they read the transcripts, but
I was a little tripping over my words, y'all. I understand there was some points I was about to make, and then another idea came up, so it was hard for me to stay on track. But I was trying to basically say with the transcripts is that a lot of these people who support R. Kelly claim to have read the transcripts. That's like their biggest comeback now. And I read the transcripts too, so don't even ask me that. And they only say that because they know they didn't, and they know that it's going to come up. Well, did you read the transcripts? Because it's pretty much there. But yeah, let me go on.
I don't know. I can't speak for other people. I do want to say that with regards to the 30 years, I think the irony in that is that there's 30 years of patterns and behaviors that have been documented. I'm gonna keep saying that because there's been lawsuits. There have been police reports. There have been things that were shoved under the, like tossed, basically. There were lawyers involved that made deals. There's a lot of hush money payments, 200,000, $1 million in some cases.
Do you think any of this, because people don't never say like this brother had a disability, say for instance, when it comes to reading, and I can deal with, say for instance, managers and stuff like that.
Okay, so notice everything I've just brought up, he goes straight to his disability in air quotes. He goes straight to the fact that he was in air quotes illiterate, and he had people signing things on his behalf and whatnot. He just jumped in on me. I don't even know if I was able to speak again after this, but here we go.
If you don't know how to read, they're gonna take your balls. And I have no doubt in my mind, say for instance, sis, once Jennifer Bunjean go in here and start digging through that, I can clearly tell you that Robbie made most of these deals. I'm gonna tell you, from a guy that deal around with contracts due to the fact he couldn't read or either comprehend some of this stuff. And here's the thing, me being in the industry,
So he starts with Jennifer Bunjean, which I was ready to address Jennifer Bunjean. They're convinced she's going to come in there, save the day, turn everything over. He's coming home. I was going to address that, but yeah, he kept talking.
Around a couple of guys. What is that? Been around a couple of guys and P&D distribution contracts and stuff. Something ain't right. I'm gonna be honest with you. And see, Kellz have what's your boy McDavid? One of them, McDavid, and I believe what's his name? Barry have power of attorney over that brother.
What is power and attorney, illiteracy? What does any of that have to do with sexually abusing and assaulting minors and young adults? Well, I will say people. What does that have to do with that? I don't know.
And they can open a bank account, set up all types of things. And so my thing is to the public, the public will skip that and just be like, boy, he got all this different stuff. And a lot of these lawsuits, us as artists, people's like McDavid to say, I'm gonna make it go away. Well, I'm gonna make, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna make it go away. And
that's what I was gonna mention.
I mean, I'll let you come in, Queen, you know what I'm saying, also, but, and I feel what you're saying, but I think a lot of this stuff, what is it? I don't know, let me make sure I say your name right. And
see, he done took the goddess off my name and everything at this point. I want to make sure, what's your name? Who are you?
Appreciate, you coming in and we being relaxed like this, to be able to agree to disagree. I appreciate it. And, but, from a contract standpoint of view, me understanding that this guy balls was taken. I guarantee.
Well, he wants to were taken, but we're talking about the way he literally used his balls. He was bold enough to do the things that he did with these people who are now holding him accountable by trial. He lost one. He's on his way to losing another one. Okay.
Somebody gonna take his balls, and there's a couple deals in there that this guy don't know about.
Black.
Okay.
I don't know if you saw the comment from my boy Jeffrey in the.
This is the lady who didn't have a picture speaking.
Yeah, I saw it.
But
What Jeff said.
Point, whether you
Very good point
or not, you can't deny the injustice because.
So if you guys didn't catch that, the lady wanted to point out a comment in the chat saying whether or not he was guilty or he is guilty, there's still injustice here with how they're handling him. So basically what they're saying is we don't give a damn the fact that he has victims and has victimized people for the past decade. The point is that we don't think the law is doing things the right way. And that's my point when I came in to them saying, if you don't like the law, this end of the situation, how you're handling it on YouTube is not how you fight that. You need to go to Washington, D.C. and get into a lobbying role You need to go down there and start writing your own laws and getting your own support for these laws and doing things that way, if that's what you want to do. Because this YouTube thing, sitting on here with your ignorance, because that's what it is ignorance. I'm addressing ignorance. And I want to say this regarding the young ladies on there, the women, well, at least the one who showed her face. She was respectful. She was, she spoke well enough. The one who didn't show their face, I saw later when I went back that she was rude. After he got rude, she got rude, talking about bye, goddess, or bye. I think she just said bye. But the point is that these people, yeah, love is fair. Exactly. Welcome back. Yeah, they're definitely delusional. Insurrection. Oh, okay.
Really? There is
I was gonna get there, yeah.
case. And I think a lot of the people who, because you do have some people that are out there that are on the fence. You do have that. But at the same time, we can all agree that how he is being done is not right. And as far as him paying people, there are plenty of celebrities that pay to make things go away.
And now I'm really ready to get up out and say what I need to say, because they done went through about 6 or 7 different highlights that they didn't let me come in. I didn't want to come in all rah-rah and then them to say, to give them a reason or him a reason to kick me off his panel. I was just kicking back thinking it's going to eventually come back to me. So I was, matter of fact, taking notes at this point so I wouldn't forget what I wanted to say. And now she's bringing up how other celebrities pay people off all the time just because they don't want the hassle. And this is when I really needed to come in and was ready to go on this. Like, who would jeopardize? She wants to say, to save their reputation, but his reputation is based on all the payouts. Like, some of the behaviors of that, I can understand if maybe there was one situation, maybe because sometimes things do happen where it's not necessarily what it looks like. We know that every accusation out there isn't true. We understand that. We know that people do get railroaded and have been railroaded in the history of this legal system. We know that the system is actually, throughout it was actually based on a lot of racial and prejudicial things. It was made around that to make sure people were marginalized and all of that. But R. Kelly, in his case, it's a different situation. He put himself in a position where you can't turn a blind eye if you care about children, if you care about people being abused, if anybody saw the tape where the Rashana, we'll say the young girl, 12 or 14 years old, or however old she was at that time, was peed on. And not only that, but just sexually violated every which way. And not only was it on video, but it was sold to the masses on the streets. So my thing is, even if there's a hint of an issue with a person like this, where it comes to children and this type of vile behavior, I can't see me putting my boots on to stomp the ground for this motherfucker. Like, that's where, for me, I have to draw the line at P-High versus a supporter. As a supporter, I could see if you were a fan of his, right? You enjoyed his music and you hear about this stuff and you're questioning, like, well, hold up. Like, didn't he have these same charges back in 2008? They just still trying to get this man, But eventually, if you're really paying attention, and if you're not closed-minded when you hear something that bothers you about him, because some people just shut down. I think it's like an automatic trigger for people to shut down when they hear something about this man that they don't like. They don't want to hear the fact that he has a predisposition to young girls and boys, because we know now there's been Jane Does and John Does in his crimes. So we can't say just girls and women, there's boys and men. Even Don Russell's guilty ass is being questioned about his relationship with R. Kelly. I think he had said something where R. Kelly told him to call him daddy. And he tried to come back and recant that. But I'm pretty sure he did not only tell him to call him daddy, but he made him show him that he was his daddy. Or he made Don Russell show him, because I think he likes to be the submissive. That's just what we've heard from different people, from different eras, from different situations and time frames. We've heard all of the stories. And people don't just make up these stories with these details out of the blue. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times when people finally awaken to their trauma, because most times trauma is sleeping. Okay, so trauma goes to sleep because people don't want to face trauma. And not only don't want to face trauma, they can't face trauma based on where they're at as far as their strength, their mindset, their heart, their soul. Where are they as far as their healing goes? The unhealed typically allow their trauma to lie dormant. But when that trauma is awakened, they react on the physical level. And they question themselves and also shame themselves too when it's realized what happened to them. They, oh, I allowed this to happen to me. What, you know, how did this happen to me? The questions start coming. So then you really want to face the person. You want that person accountable when you come to realize everything that you've been through behind someone else who used you and manipulated you and coerced you and physically, emotionally abused you, all of that. NV1 Higgins, welcome. Hello to you. The battles they pick to fight says all you need to know. Yeah, exactly. So it's okay to mess with children if you can pay to make it go away. Exactly. And I think this is what this person, I stopped the recording on that part, but we're going to continue it. And she's saying there's, you know, other celebrities who pay people to go away too. Like that makes what he's done okay. Like that actually makes it go away. You see that they have yet to address anything that I have said about the 30 years, how it's ironic that it's 30 years because it's been 30 years of him being abusive, right? There's 30 years of him, and we have that video of him toasting his entourage, his enablers, his enterprise. I think they're on a yacht, but he's toasting them and thanking them for being there and saying it's too late. They should have did this 30 years ago. So if you don't think 30 years is fair, then you haven't been ear to the ground on this whole situation. And you don't know all the past behaviors and patterns over the past 30 years. Because it's really actually pretty funny that Judge Ann gave him 30 years. She was letting him know that, you know, you're paying for everything from the beginning up to now, up to from what we know, at least up to now. Because honestly, I think his personal horrible, just his vile behavior, I think he'd been doing stuff since he was a child. And I know that it's been said that he's been abused himself and all of the things we've heard. And I emphasize it's been said and we've heard because it's hearsay. We don't have proof. Just like there's no proof, they say there's no proof of him being abused. There's no proof of, of these victims, these accusers. There's no proof of them being abused. There's no proof of him being abused. Where's the proof of his abuse? And my thing is too, they want to say, oh, there's no proof, and they want to discount all the accusations. But where's the proof that he's innocent? Where's the proof that he didn't do it? That's what I want to know. So let's continue this.
And it's because of your reputation you want to, and in all honesty, when you look at this case, I see why people pay to make things go away, because it can get real ugly. You can literally fall just like this. So I see why people pay to make things go away. Sometimes it is not worth the battle.
So you're telling me if your life is on the line, with regard to these charges that could end up being a life sentence, that it's not worth the trouble to defend yourself versus paying someone off. And like I said before, I can understand if you're talking one person, one situation, somebody came dangling something over you that looks bad and that you really can't defend yourself because you don't have any alibi or whatever. That's one thing. But literally dozens and however many payoffs that are on record through courts, lawyers. Exactly, Miss Della. He had over 10 lawyers. One of his lawyers got run over and killed, right? Like a couple weeks before the New York trial started. Wonder why. And Linda Minch, the lawyer that was murdered, was one of the lawyers heavily involved with all his hush money stuff and all of his covering up of stuff. She stopped representing him publicly in 2018 when things got heated with regards to Time's Up. Like I had mentioned on this guy's channel, BBC had already come calling with that documentary. BuzzFeed with their investigative report had already come out. Time's Up was on his ass, canceling concerts left and right. And to his surprise and shock, because he came out, I think on one of his platforms, maybe Instagram, and he was like, how are they stopping my money? Or how do they think they're going to stop my money? Like, he thought it was funny. You know what I'm saying? But I guess he didn't see the power on the streets with the Me Too movement doing its thing also, that his days were numbered. And this actually probably forced him to start going to that storage locker and getting money that he left in pockets and shoes and things, because he wasn't getting paid from these shows that he was expecting, you know, to earn from. And mind you, the way he was living, and we know this man wasn't a responsible man. He wasn't living like a normal person where you actually have, you know, on his level, usually there's a business manager, an accountant who actually does calculate the money, pay people for you, you know, report to you on everything, your budgets and all of that. He was not doing all that. He was getting cash and he was just blowing his money. He had mentioned himself during one of those cases for his child support that he had only been to the bank like one time, and it was recently, so he could see what he had or whatever he was trying to say. I mean, how dumb is that? And I don't, you know, the literacy issue, to me, he has had plenty of time to learn how to read and write, at least enough to get a basic understanding of his bank accounts and things like that. So, you know, to say that, oh, well, he was illiterate but, you know, he still had the authority over his life to decide who to hire, who to trust. And he'd been doing this long enough to know who not to trust, who to trust. And he was somebody who would continue to let people work with him and be in his space who had already betrayed him, let him tell it. Some of the betrayals were made up betrayals from him to make the person look bad. But there were some betrayals, because if you're not paying people, they got to do something. So if they see a Rolex laying around, they might pick it up. If they see some cash laying around, they might pocket it, because you owe them in their mind. They feel like, well, he hasn't paid me, so I'm going to help myself. I think it's only fair. And my thing is, if you have to steal from somebody to get your due pay, then why are you working for them? It goes both ways. But let me finish this up.
So, you know, I mean, I get it. I have, you know, a couple people around me that believes he done it. But at the end of the day, it's not right.
Okay, real quick.
It's not right.
Let me see if Gospel got something to say real quick on it. You got anything you want to rebuttal with the sister? I mean, because man,
listen. So he's basically like, do you have any rebuttal for her? Because he's saying on this, the topic continued on after I got off the channel for like 2 hours. So it wasn't like they were finishing up the whole live. He was basically like, I'm about to get rid of her. So you got anything you got to say before we do that?
I get it like this, you know, for one, when you look at the overall of this surviving R. Kelly, come on, man. I mean, not saying man to you, sis. This was a damn railroad all day. I mean, you got these parents. You got, I mean, just look at, I mean, that's like here, all these people on Surviving R. Kelly, why all of them ain't even in the damn courtroom? You got people around here at barbershops, and I'm not yelling at shit. So, you got people in barbershops, thinking half of these people was on trial. And
well, wait a minute. Well, what about what about his side then? If you want to speak on who wasn't in the trial, he didn't have anybody speak up for him. Why is that? Where were his people?
And see, that's a prime example. When you get in trouble, people run. And you're right.
But if he's so innocent, then where does he run from?
And
where's there to run?
And they don't run because
he kept talking over me at this point. I was basically trying to say, he said, well, when people get in trouble, people run. Well, if they're innocent and that's your people, you worked for them, that's your family, whatever the case, and you believe they're innocent, and these people are lying on him, what are you running for? What are you running for?
Person is guilty also. You know, we have to put that in there. Everybody,
there you go.
He says sometimes they run because there's guilty people also. He's saying that sometimes the person is guilty, that's why they run. And that was like, yeah, that was a point that I was trying to make.
You know?
Not only that, but you can't, not only that.
See, she had to jump in and cover that up. She didn't like that.
No.
I mean, the guy was damn railroad. I mean, when you get in railroad, these people.
But you can't get up there and speak for nobody if they don't call you up there. He's got family.
Well, why wouldn't they call you?
He's got people that'll speak up.
So she's like, well, if the lawyers didn't call him, his family and other people, then what are they supposed to do? Well, if you're defending a man as a defense attorney or team, and you have a client whose life is on the line, why wouldn't you call these credible witnesses? Why wouldn't you? That was what I was trying to say.
Because they want to railroad him.
Why wouldn't the defense call people who know for sure he's so innocent? I saw a young lady outside the courtroom arguing back and forth with a non-supporter, and she swore up and down she was there in the house. I was there all the time. I didn't see. So why weren't you on the stand defending him as the question? And if the defense didn't call,
they just don't want me to finish speaking. Like, can I get my point across? How long did I sit back and listen and with all my patience? Child.
Person to the stand, that means the defense found a flaw in the person's testimony.
Right. So that was my point. There it is. And I said it, thankfully. But yeah, if the defense isn't calling people on his behalf, it's because they see holes in the stories, or they see the weaknesses that the prosecution is gonna basically put on Front Street. You know, they're gonna tear them apart on the stand, and that's why.
And that's why a lot of stuff called.
The defense wasn't for him either from the beginning.
Who hired him?
So she's saying, well, the defense wasn't even for him. And mind you, he had a few different lawyers throughout. I think Ms. Della said 10, but no, I didn't even know what I was stepping into. But she talking about, oh, well, the defense wasn't even for him. Well, who hired them? He has a choice of who defends it. It's not like he just was given an attorney, like, here you go, we're gonna make you use these people. He hired these people at the end of the day. So you can't blame the attorneys that he himself hired. Was he railroading himself? Because you could fire an attorney if you see some bullshit going on and take it to the judge and get yourself the right representation. Let me see. His fans saying he can't read and write, but they failed to mention he had the money to get the education and needed to learn. Exactly, that he never did. Yep. You stepped in a lion's den of misinformation echo chamber. They can't handle the truth. Exactly. Thank you for that. Yes.
Hey, but look, check this out. What we're going to do, because we ain't finna switch this from the all ladies conversation.
Okay, so he's saying we're not going to switch this from the all ladies conversation as if I'm not a lady. What? I don't understand. He's the only one who's not a lady on there. It was supposed to be an all ladies. It says R. Kelly, all ladies conversation with Black CEO. That's it. It don't say R. Kelly supporters. It don't say, nothing like that. He just said an R. Kelly conversation. So what's the problem?
Why wasn't a lot of stuff introduced?
Hey, Queen, welcome. You done missed the live, child, but go on the replay, please, and check this out.
Why wasn't a lot of stuff? For one, that surviving R. Kelly was a sham. Just period. That shit was a sham.
See, obviously, he don't want to hear what I'm saying, because what I was trying to tell him in the beginning of this is that it wasn't just surviving R. Kelly. It didn't start with it. It didn't end with it. It was just a part of the narrative. But for him to keep bringing up that's why I brought it up in the beginning, because I know Surviving R. Kelly, the docuseries, is such a trigger for these people. Seem like they hear it and they melt, they fall apart. Because it was a 6-hour long expose on this man and his disgusting, vile behavior towards minors, young girls, and we learned later, young boys.
I mean, Black men need to be careful. And that shit that they brought in on that, come on now, need to wake up. Especially if you got a son or a damn grandson or a brother or something like that. That's real.
And what about if you have a daughter, a granddaughter, a sister? It goes both ways. And like I said earlier, putting your boots on to go to, do the groundwork for this convicted felon sexual assault against minors and girls and boys is ridiculous to me. And to show your face at that and be proud of it, like, I don't understand. And I understand the whole plight for the Black man, because as I talk about and have said before, I know the legal system, is flawed for sure. It's racist. It's a systematically racist system. It's just all up in there. We've talked about this. It's not about that. And it's not about a general fight for injustice. It's about R. Kelly. And that's what people don't understand. And they always want to compare him. Well, what about your nephew and your brother? And well, whose nephew, brother, anybody is doing anything that this man is accused of? Who's going to the levels that he has gone to over the 30 years? Who has had the star power, the money, the resources to get away with the things that this man has been doing? Nobody. So stop comparing him to the everyday, quote unquote, Black man. It's not the same thing. And we're talking about him because he's a special case. He's an outlier when it comes to the general pool of people, injustice, fighting cases, all of that. He's an outlier because he's had history, 2008 acquittal, where he could have come clean and straightened his life up and been left alone. But he didn't do that. And that's why we're here. Just because, it took some time doesn't mean they kept their eyes off of him. They stayed on him. There was always somebody on him, watching, listening. Let's see, Miss Della. Good Lord, his brother said, wait, let me go up. Oh, okay. It seems like he thought everyone on the panel was a supporter. Right. And when he invited me on, in my mind, I was either like, well, he's open to, a different perspective, or he don't know who I am and he thinks I support R. Kelly. So that's why when I first came on, I said, y'all probably not going to want to cheer me in after you hear my opinion, because it's not what your opinion is. I was very clear and upfront. Queen said, okay, he's slow. He read no transcripts. Yeah, he don't seem to know much of anything. He doesn't know details of the trial. Nope. Well, they're going to say the same thing about Bonjean when she loses. Exactly. They got Bonjean up on this pedestal. She's going to come in. She's going to turn over everything, every stone to, get the truth out and get his cases dropped or whatever. No. Good Lord, his brother said he was guilty, then tried to take it back. He sure did. Matter of fact, didn't his brother say he put him on? He was on the tape himself with some people. He didn't even know he was being filmed. Same thing Levi saying it was just the documentary that got him convicted. No, That's debunked. They always want to act like it just started with Surviving R. Kelly. Exactly. And that's why I started off with that, because I'm like, nah. 55 versus 50 witnesses there. Where were his supporters? Exactly. What does him reading and writing got to do with messing with little girls? That's what I was saying. Remember, I saw that horrible video. Disgusting. Yeah, you did. I didn't see it. I saw screenshots, but no. And everybody, the jurors are going to see these tapes. I hear one of these supporters are out there trying to collect money for a billboard so they can plant seeds into the minds of the potential jurors to spin his narrative for the potential jurors, because there's such a horrible stink on his name right now, especially in Chicago. Even though Chicago might have more supporters, there's also a lot of pissed off people in Chicago behind R. Kelly. Everybody don't love R. Kelly in Chicago. Let them tell it. Some of these people from Chicago with these channels, let them tell it. All of Chicago is behind him, but that's not the case. They don't think. Exactly. Oh, I didn't read this. I think I seen the BBC documentary that came out months before. Yep. But many people didn't see the BBC one, so they put all the blame on Lifetime. They don't research. Yeah. And that's why I mentioned it coming onto this channel. That was one of the first things I said. There was a BBC, there was a BuzzFeed article. So there are magazine articles from the 90s accusing R. Kelly of this. So to believe he's completely innocent is a delusion. Yep. Nope. He tried to come up with a better way to hide his assaults. It backfired and he got 30 years. Exactly. Huh. Did you see the deposition? Aaliyah was going to testify for Tiffany Hawkins about her dealings with him as a minor. Did I see the? No, I didn't see the deposition, but I had read that happened. Yes. Video evidence will wipe out any billboard. Exactly. The billboard. So apparently this billboard is going to cost $50,000, and people. This is why the infighting happens with the supporters, because a lot of supporters don't agree with spending $50,000 on a billboard. When I was listening to one lady, I think it was on this channel, she was like, he needs his taxes paid down. He has debt. Like, he don't have money to be spending on no billboard. And so F you, you know what I mean? So they're going back and forth with the one YouTuber who's promoting that. Let's finish this up. Let's see how much is left. I think it's almost done.
You know what I'm saying? That right there was straight BS. I ain't even finna cuss on. You got these grown-ass girls. You got these grown-ass moms. I mean, just nasty moms texting this man and all that. And when it was crazy, that don't mean nothing to nobody. I mean, don't you see where that's...
He's saying it means nothing to nobody. And they're talking about, I guess, Alice Clary's text messages that came out. But the thing is that with all the victims that he has, why are they singling out one parent in one situation when there are so many other parents that were oblivious to any of what was going on? I don't understand that. I do understand it as far as trying to latch on to anything that might look good on his behalf. But that still, to me, doesn't take away what he did, even after, because supposedly he, you know, we're going to just say that he didn't know she was 17, talking about Azriel, until later when she was closer to her 18th birthday. And she supposedly told him at the park, and he sent her home until she had permission and blah, blah, blah. Even if that was the case, because I don't believe that, but even if that was the case, wouldn't that be him there not making the right decision? Wouldn't he at that point, or shouldn't he have basically sent her home without any further discussion, any further contact? And if there's going to be any letter, it should have been absolving him by saying, you know, I was aware that my daughter was with him at this age and da 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 da. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make sense at all. It was Jim DeRogatis' article on the Aaliyah movie that made me realize that what R. Kelly had really done, because he called their relationship a pedophilia relationship and was upset the movie romanticized. Yeah, a lot of people were upset about that. That wasn't a good movie, but it was a bit of it did seem like a little bit of a romanticized situation. They want to single it out because that's all they got. That's true. That's a good point. He slapped her and sent her home. Right. And this is after I think he had been holding her for days, like in that van or whatever. If you remember, those sisters were Mayweather sisters were texting each other about how she hasn't eaten, how they feel sorry for her, how he, has been abusing her and all this stuff. Like, are we gonna discount that? And notice they never mention John Doe's. Yeah, they never do. They don't. Oh man, these people, boy.
Trying to damn near frame this guy.
No.
Now we gotta get to the court. Why wasn't these people in there? Why they with this guy mom? Why would they pay receptive? Talk about that first.
Why didn't he sue surviving our family?
One person speaks at a time so I can hear and everybody else.
So if y'all didn't hear, I asked, why didn't he sue Surviving R. Kelly? He didn't sue Lifetime. And I said no to the fraud. Like, there's no fraud. He was literally convicted. I bet you if he were to be found not guilty, just like in 2008, they'd be behind the law 100%. Right? They would be behind the law 100%.
Here, one person.
And it's me, because what I'm finna do is I'm finna go in the end is that when we get back to our conversation. Because my thing is,
he's saying when we get back to our conversation, as if I derailed their conversation, which I guess I did, because I took them somewhere where they weren't trying to go. They were in a place of delusion, and I let them see some reality, and they didn't like it.
let's not just skip to the court. Let's skip to these nasty ass parents. I've seen these people like this at concerts. I should be backstage. So when you see this mess.
So you heard him say he used to be backstage. He's seen it at concerts. So he knows what the deal is. He knows exactly what the deal is.
Discussing that shit, like say for instance the Clary's doing, the Tim Savages, and talk about it all before you get to the court, you know. That's the only thing I have. But if I was for the railroad and you can go around and try to say why this and that, that was a straight railroad, but I didn't go at the end of the day, sis. But I do appreciate you coming through with your opinion, but you know, we I don't do the what is it, the what you call it, the debates and stuff over here. That's the thing about it.
And I'm trying to say I don't do debates on my channel neither. I get that. But I'm also not going to come on my channel and say it's an open panel to discuss R. Kelly for all women or all men or whatever it is. And then when they do come on with their opinion, to kick them off the panel because it's not what you want to talk about. You can't come back at what I'm saying. You don't come. I'm bringing too much knowledge and too much insight for you to handle. So you just decide we're going to let you go. You can't match my energy. So you say, you know what? Thank you for coming, but you got to go.
I do appreciate you coming through.
Okay, I'm gonna say this while I leave. You are obviously kicking me off your panel. But I'm gonna say this. I
really did find it amusing. I literally was like, is he kicking me off his panel? Like, because I thought we were legit having a conversation. Nobody was yelling or cursing each other. Like, it wasn't one of those where you can't listen because you're getting a headache, you know? Like, the only reason it did get a little, like, I guess, high energy is because he would not stop talking and he would interrupt, and he was, deflecting.
I have to, Queen, because what you coming in is away from my narratives and my conversation. You know, you have to take that. You got to say I came in and try to
is what it is. And if you don't want to listen to what I have to say, that just means that you have some type of fear or some type of a triggering about hearing things that don't agree.
You have a great day, sweetheart.
Actually, he did kick me off. Now that I look at it, he booted me off because I didn't say bye. And I heard the lady say bye. That was the one that wasn't showing her face. She was rude. The other lady, let me pull up the picture. The lady at the bottom, she actually was like, no, let her speak. I want to ask her questions. She wanted to talk. And that I can appreciate. Her name is Gospel Glam Cosmetics and Skincare. Okay. Well, Gospel Glam was open. I don't think, she had a problem with talking about the things. The one above her, though, was rude. She was definitely P-Hive. He's definitely P-Hive. And yeah. So let's real quick before Ms. Della, I'm gonna bring you up in a second. Let me just let y'all hear what they said after I left.
I mean, you know, now I was trying to.
I was waiting.
And you know, I mean, okay. I mean,
Let me say this.
See, she was like, "Why did you do that?" I was waiting. I wanted to talk to her. Let's see which, and I didn't keep much of this after, but let's see.
Because oh God, oof, Jesus, oh God, yeah. I mean, I know.
And see, the other lady's like, "Oh well," like.
Respect to agree to disagree, but you can't think that you just.
Okay, I think I had cut it off, but I think she was going to say you can't overtalk. I wasn't overtalking anybody. I was literally trying to say my piece before I left. And I was just trying to say, like, just because somebody has an adverse opinion doesn't mean, you know, you shouldn't let them finish what they have to say. You're the one who invited people on. I wouldn't have come on there if he would have said, if you agree with us, come on, because we're going to talk. We're all going to talk about what we're going to do or whatever it was. Let me bring up Miss Della. Hey, Miss Della.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Well, I think you held yourself up pretty well, as usual.
Well, thank you.
Once again,
that was my
and
first
then we
time.
I
was just saying that was my first time on another panel, honestly.
But didn't we just talk about how like this people are one-sided, they don't want to read the transcript, they don't believe. But then we just had a discussion about this, remember?
Yeah.
And it is that was a panel you was on. It's not fair. The Clarys, the Savages, they only see it one way. Well, there's other celebrities that pay people off, so it's okay to do that. But as long as you pay people off, when you deal with people like that, they're never going to change their mind.
Right. Yeah,
Nothing
you're right.
you say can change their mind because they believe that he shouldn't. They believe that he's innocent.
Well, we got Hazel E here. What's going on, Hazel?
Hi, chat.
I'm sorry.
I've been listening to the whole conversation. It's crazy. It's really crazy. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Loud and clear.
I just wanted to chip in because what I don't understand about the supporters is not having any type of empathy or compassion for what he did to these children. Like, it doesn't make sense to me because, you know, I'm a survivor of sexual abuse myself. And so it goes deep for me. And anyone who's gone through this as a child, first of all, you don't even realize that it's happening. I had suppressed it for a long time. It wasn't until 4 years ago till I realized, oh my gosh, that's what happened. Right. And, you know, so for me as a survivor myself, I sympathize with these women because that's what they deserve, you know, and to basically cut all that out and be supportive of R. Kelly just because he sings your favorite song and not even take into account all the evidence that's publicly out there that you can look and research yourself. To completely dismiss that. It's just wrong to me, and it pisses me off so much because some of these people are old enough to be my grandpa saying he innocent, and I'm like, dummy. If you just look at the facts and just get out of your own head because he sings your favorite song, you would see the truth. But I think a lot of them don't want to see the truth because I really think it comes down to some of them were probably born into a situation where their mother was a child and their father was an adult, and they don't want to probably realize that they were, you know, a product of that. And so they
Right.
look at R. Kelly and they're like, well, if this is what he's done, what does that say about me? You know, I
Mm-hmm.
just it goes deep. It goes deep. And I don't understand how someone can be so evil in the head and not care that he is doing this to 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds. And yet you wanna blame the parents, you wanna blame the girls, but you don't put any of the blame on him.
Exactly. You remember those
You
twins?
know?
Remember those twins? Those the two
Yeah.
white ladies, and I
Have
remember,
the
huh?
Yeah, go
The
ahead.
ones
I'm
that used to
sorry.
work for him. Remember those ladies?
Yeah. Have the
I
nerve to call it
remember.
consensual.
Yes, exact. So I saw that videotape,
Hmm.
and I could not believe that girl said, "Well, it looked like two consensual adults." How in the hell do you think
But
a
it's
12
not
to
two
13 year
adults.
old?
But it's not two adults. It's a child and an
She
adult.
knows that. I guarantee you, her child, 12 or 13 year old, wouldn't be with no grown man like that. She
Right.
know better than that.
And every adult knows the law that it is statutory, or if you an adult has actual contacts, I'm trying to be, because YouTube, with a
Mm-hmm.
child, that is statutory R. Everybody knows that. So for an adult to look at, oh yeah, she was 13, but it was consensual. No, it was not, because she was a child.
Her
And the
parents
crazy
failed
thing,
her.
this is a superstar that was rich, and I'll give it to him. He was handsome. Okay. I never looked at him as an ugly guy. He could have gotten any grown man. I mean, a grown woman he wanted. He could have gotten Tony Braxton, Janet Jackson, like any
Or
adult,
man, a
or
man
man,
too. If that's what he wanted.
or man too. Let's keep it real.
Yeah.
But you chose children.
Mm-hmm.
You chose to mess up children's lives, and
That
Mm-hmm.
one, and not just one child either.
multiple. Multiple, but like I said, this starts from young, because I do believe this happened to him as a kid. And I believe, him not knowing what happened to him, he started to do this to other kids, and then he just never grew out of it, or got out of it, or got help for it. Let me say
Mm-hmm.
it like that. He never got help for it. And so it blew up to what it is today. And
He didn't want no help. He didn't want no help.
right.
And let's just go back to what God has first started.
Hmm.
Yeah, I never forget how God has had an interview with a young lady on here. How he sat there and was going from hotel to hotel, bringing women and bringing women. That's why you wasn't. That's why you didn't know where your money was, because you was worried about this aspect of your life. Oh my God, I got to get this woman. I got to get this woman. That's all you cared about at the time. You needed to know where every McDonald's was. You needed to know where the mall was. You picked girls out of the audience. You had girls. Soon as a concert was over, you had girls lined up. You had a bus that you called the F bus.
Oh
Again,
my gosh, that's
you
horrible.
yeah, you had the F bus. You had a bus with your band on, a F bus. And remember, the bus driver said this.
Yeah.
He had to put a curtain on. You couldn't see who was coming in. They didn't even have bathrooms on there. They was pooing and peeing in the baggies. And they claimed they said they were there for days. And then they claimed I'm sorry, don't forget about the herpes package being left on the
Oh
floor.
yeah.
And then they cleaned themselves up with baby wipes. This is your
Hmm.
whole life. That's why you lost mansions and everything else. But again, you said you did this 30 years ago. I dare these bitches come after me after 30 years. They should have done this a long time ago. So
Well,
no.
actually, I mean, I know, you're joking, but because I did watch a video of Tiffany Hawkins and Javante Cunningham together, and they said when they were with him, he didn't, all the stuff with the bodily fluids. They said, and beating him up. He said they didn't do that to him, so he must have started doing this after they left. So it seems like he became more evil and evil the more he got away with it, which is
It's so it
horrible.
wasn't a thrill any longer. So he needed to
Right.
do more and more. You see what I'm saying? Each time it's something.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's see. What was the last thing? Squashing in urine and defecating on yourself.
Yeah.
It's always more and more.
It's disgusting and it's inhumane. Like, it's that's gross. I don't even it's gross. It's gross. But I did want to say that that because I've done a lot of research on victims of child sex abuse, that hypersexuality, I'm sorry if I can't say, if I'm not supposed to say that, but
It's okay.
but hypersexuality is a cause of child sex abuse. So when I look at R. Kelly, to me, he's someone who had an addiction to, you know, sex.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that is a result of him being abused. And this can, you know, and so I believe that's why he continued on his path of abusing people and doing all of what he did, because it's a direct result of what happened to him. It's not an excuse, not at all, because not everybody goes down that way. I certainly didn't.
Exactly.
But people, when this happens to people, they the way they cope with it in different ways. One person is different from another. And so I believe that he was addicted to sex. And so he didn't care if you were grown, if you were a child, if you were a man, if you were a woman, he was going to get it from you. And that's the evil in it. That is, I don't know if you would consider that a sociopath or what, but like, it's crazy.
No, saying he escalated. And shamanic journey, welcome. She says sexual addiction gets worse because the high gets weak and you have to do more.
Yeah, there you go. Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know, I've never spoken on my own. I've never came on here and said I was a victim or any of that. I mean, as a empath, you know, I definitely feel the hurt, and like I've helped people with the tarot readings and the medium work, and but you know, personally, I'm one of those people who have a situation of not knowing that something happened, but not knowing the details, and having to, it's been actually a couple of decades of like soul searching about it, just because having some energy work done on me when I was in my early 20s and not even understanding what that really was, but having my sacral chakra healed. If you want to look up the chakras, the sacral chakra, the second chakra, represented by the color orange, it is where your sexual desires, that's where all your sexual trauma is held. Yeah. And so that healing is definitely necessary. And when I was first like touched there energetically, I broke down, didn't know why. I was crying. I was like, what's that? What's happening? And this guy tells me, you know, you have had some trauma, you know, I'm like, huh? But, and, you know, not to say that was the only clue. There were things that happened in my childhood, not related to the adults, but with other kids, to tell me that something happened. You know what I mean? Like, not to get into detail, but just to say that there was something within me that knew something wasn't right. Like something had happened. So now here I am today. I've done a lot of work. I'm still working on putting the pieces together, but I know a lot more than I did when I started out. And I know that's probably why this R. Kelly situation triggers me, because, you know, it's like, it's angering. It's like, how dare you steal these babies' innocence, these girls' lives, livelihood. You know, I saw somebody did a video recently. The title says something like, well, what's wrong with, where's Joy? Who says she was missing? And I say that, bring that up to say, people want to look at it as a black and white. Well, she was an adult, 19 is grown, and whatever is happening, she's grown enough. But the manipulation that's involved, the mind trauma, like this is what I was talking about last night on the live about how your mind is the most precious thing, honestly, aside from time, that you have here, because that your mind shifts your reality. So whatever's going on mentally is going to shift your reality. So if you're abused, and going through, people, somebody's punishing you and doing things to you, it's going to shift your environment and your reality. You're going to, so it's abuse. it's abuse. So somebody like Joy definitely needs support. She needs spiritual support. If you can, since we can't physically help her, we need to continue keeping her in our prayers.
And I also say that it's especially hard when you are a victim and that person that did that to you is someone that you trusted, someone that you loved, someone that you cared about. So that's another reason why you don't see it as, oh, this is abuse, because this is someone you love and you trust. And of course, you're not thinking someone you love and you trust is going to hurt you. So I think that's another reason, especially for me, why I didn't look at it as for what it was, because this was someone that I was close to and I had a great relationship with. And so that's why it took me so long to realize, like, that's what that wasn't right. And so when I parallel it to what these girls went through, I can see why it took so long for them to come out and say it. Because not only was R. Kelly someone that they adored, someone that they trusted, but also he's famous too. Robert isn't just a normal guy from the neighborhood. Like, this is a superstar. And you already know you're going to have pushback when you're coming out saying, this superstar did this to me. And especially since that what they saw what Aaliyah went through, that probably was even more of a reason for them to stay quiet. Because they were like, well, look at how they treated her. I don't want to be like that.
Right. And then you have those who
no accountability. He took no accountability. He said they were all lying.
And this
that one piece of accountability.
People in family say such and such touch me, and then they either get told you're lying, or what did you do to make him da 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 da, and it's like, so the way people were treated is the reason why they stay quiet, because nobody wants to be known for this. Nobody get famous off of this.
And I agree with. She said she's triggered by the gaslighting of their pain, and I definitely agree with that, as well as the fact of his lack of accountability, which I was going to bring up before Ms. Della said accountability. That is also triggering when someone is refusing to take accountability when the evidence is all is there, and as well as just all of the past stuff that we know about. It's a lot. It's not just one person. It's too much to keep saying, well, they should have got me 30 years ago. I mean,
he doesn't want to see the monster in himself.
That's a good point.
Because if he was to admit that he did all of these things, he would have to take a look at himself in the mirror and be like, what kind of person am I to do these things? Because I hate to say it like this, but I don't. Okay, never mind. I'm not gonna say that.
Okay.
Get it out, girl.
Because I didn't want to sound like I was defending him, because that's not the thing. But like, I kind of still try to see the good in people, so I don't want to say that he intentionally tried to, or at least in his mind, he may not think that he intentionally was hurting people, even though that's what he was doing.
So that's why he went through that's why. So in round 2, after the acquittal, round 2, what did he do? You did everything. You had letters, fake letters, or you knew exactly what you was doing. You had the fake letters, the driver's license. You said they stole for you. You did all of this stuff. So you put all this energy into covering it.
In his mind, that's what he's thinking. In his mind, because his mind is warped.
Yeah.
So in his mind, he's thinking, "Oh, I'm not hurting anybody because he crazy. Something wrong with him."
That's definitely true. He ain't thinking straight. We
Yeah,
know that.
he doesn't think like normal like us.
No, he doesn't. And you got a lot of people that don't think that way either.
I was
The
gonna say,
bottom
'cause he
line
still got a lot of people
is,
supporting him for having that type of thought process.
Yeah.
so you don't, a grown adult should
Hmm.
not be messing around with a young child.
Right.
Rashonda, whatever her name is, her parents failed her. She had nowhere to turn. It's all gonna come out on this case. But where was she gonna go? They knew what it was a videotape. You saw the surviving kid. You saw her friend say
Hmm.
she knew that was her on the videotape. That everybody knew that was on her. She was upset. She was embarrassed. That everybody saw her. But what's she gonna do? You're being. It all will come out.
Yeah, she
How
had
you
to
being
drop.
paid?
She had to drop out of school and everything because people was making.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
could imagine. I
Yep.
can imagine. Like, oh my goodness, that's horrible.
And she did look confused on that videotape. She looked like, oh my God. It was like, you it'll be okay. You're with daddy now.
She looks scared.
Here's some money for you. I believe it was I think it was $100 bill. It could have been a 20. And gave her a couple, gave her 100, gave her two bills. How about that? Could have been two 20s or two $100 bills. And then after that, the assault began. And
Wow.
believe me, and she did not look happy either.
No, she looked scared. She looked like the scared little girl that she
Yeah,
was.
she did.
And it's crazy because I remember when that tape came out in 2002 because it was a few months after Aaliyah had passed away, and I didn't even realize because I was 14 at the time when that tape came out, and I remember being in middle school and everybody talking about I seen the tape, and I'm like, how do y'all seen the tape? Because I
They were
wasn't
selling
into
it at
that.
the flea market.
Yeah. But I remember my 12-year-old cousin telling me she saw the tape at the time and talking
Mm.
about, yeah, I seen the tape. And I was like, oh, I don't want to see anything like that. I was innocent. So I was like, no, I have no interest in seeing nothing like that. So I didn't even know what it was about or what was being shown because they had pretty much made it, oh, it's the P tape, it's the P tape. No one ever was really paying attention to the age of the girl on the video. And I have to say
No, they
that,
was getting to the pee part.
right, and I believe the reason why the tape also wasn't taken seriously is because the way the media treated it. I remember there was a comedy sketch show similar to Saturday Night Live, and it was called Mad TV. And I remember there was a comedian on there. His name was Arius Spears. And I remember him doing a comedy sketch about R. Kelly and the tapes. And this came out years before Dave Chappelle did his skit. And I believe because there were so many comedians like Arius Spears and Dave Chappelle and even Cedric the Entertainer making jokes about R. Kelly in this tape,
Don't
is the
forget the Boondocks too.
in the Bulldogs too. But I didn't know. But I didn't have cable back then, so I didn't know about the
Okay.
so, but because of them making this into a joke is the reason why the media and people didn't take it seriously. Also, on the fact that how they treated Aaliyah years before, like no one ever really took this seriously. And I even remember, like in 2008, I was supportive of R. Kelly. I was,
Mm.
yeah, crazy. But I chop it up at this. I was only like 19, 20 years old. So I was still very young.
Mhm.
And, I grew up. My mom, she had like at least, I think, R. Kelly's first 3 CDs. So I knew R. Kelly like the back of my neck. I loved his music, especially when I was growing up, because that's what I heard. And I remember even wanting to be a singer myself. And if you would have told me, oh, so who do you want to work with when you become a singer? First person I would say was R. Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
Rick James.
Oh
I could
God.
So,
I
You
could have been
showing
a
you
Mary
showing your
Jane girl.
age.
right. So when
Just welcome.
2008 came around, I didn't know. I didn't know what was going on. I was only 19 or 20. I did not know that he was involved with little kids. I did not know. But it wasn't until 2015 when I read that article about Jim Duragotis, and he was talking about the Leah Lifetime movie because it was premiering that day. And he was talking about how he was so upset that Lifetime was romanticizing a pedophile relationship
Mhm.
between between this young girl and R. Kelly. And so then I was like, what? That's what it is? And so then I went on the hunt. Then I went on the hunt. And then like 2 years later, the Savages did their press conference and said their daughter was missing. And then I just went full into it. And ever since then, I stopped listening to his music. I've learned everything that I could learn about this case because it's important to me. But then also I realized, because it goes deeper for me, of being a victim myself. And I believe that his supporters, they just haven't looked as deeply into it as the rest of us have. You
And
can't
they
say
won't.
they can't say that they've read all the court documents, and yet you're still saying he's innocent. Like, it doesn't match up.
Right. Well, let's welcome Shamanic Journey on here.
Hi,
She's been
Shamanic Journey.
Hello, how is everybody on this Sunday evening?
fantastic.
Beautiful. I have a question.
Fiesta.
Thank you so much, Ms. Della, for the welcome.
Hi, Shamanic.
Hey, how you doing, Hazel E? I have a question. This has been actually been bothering me all week. I hear women, when I'm working, older women, okay, from the Panther days,
Yep.
stating that they support him and that he's been framed.
Oh,
And that they like his music and things like that. I want to know what the appeal is when it comes to his music, because 98% of it is disgusting.
Yeah.
Okay, it's highly sexual.
Yeah.
There's no social commentary. It's
seems
not
like he's
something.
ready.
It's not all listener friendly. You can't say all of his music is listener friendly. He has definitely shown his interest in sexual acts throughout his music. I think we all can agree to that. There's
Yeah.
parental advisory stickers on his records. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to know what the appeal is, because I understand and I've seen that, yes, Black people here in America are targeted. But when they're wrong, it's still, I want to protect this person. When are we as a community? Because I feel like a lot of us as Black women have failed as mothers too, due to this type of behavior going around. There's no correction. I just want to know the appeal, and why are they so protective even though they are in the wrong? That's what I want to know. Because it's like, this person, the women, the girls are in the wrong, and they can't consent. I'm quite sure if the victim from one of the tapes, who is now testifying in this federal case coming up in Chicago, I'm quite sure that if she had gotten pregnant back then, I don't know if she had or not. She doesn't know her body enough to identify that she's pregnant. So therefore, to me, how can she consent to sexual activity? I have a problem with people like, there's a pornographic actress named Heather Hunter that said on Vlad that, yeah, I was a stripper at the age of 16. I knew exactly what I was doing. I consented to everything.
Wow.
But how can you do that? How? And she's admitted that she's went through some things, some sexual abuse in her life.
Mm-hmm.
And she is critical of another pornographic actress. Her name escapes me, but no one knew she was underage, and when they found out, they had to take everything off the market that involved her because it was child pornography. She was dealing with a pimp who basically put her into that side of entertainment. And so I want to know, why do we have these pick me women? Why? What is it? Because I'm confused and I can't find an answer as to why, if someone is in the if somebody is in the wrong, why is the term fast used?
Mm-hmm.
Why is that term used? I remember when I was watching Lifetime, the Salt and Pepper movie, and there was a scene with Spinderella, and she was talking to one of the guys in the industry, and I remember in the scene that they called her fast. Why are we not retiring? Because there's nothing fast about, because he had no right talking to her and she was young. She started out when she was 15.
Exactly.
You get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's kind of like, why are we using this term in the Black community? It's disgusting.
I
It's
feel
it's
like we need
poison.
the word.
Go
I
ahead.
agree. I'm sorry. I was just agreeing with you. I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah. Does anybody, does anybody want to chime in? Because I have no idea the reasoning on this this abuse. This is another form of abuse.
Mm-hmm.
Victim blaming and calling names and being a bully. There's
Well,
So
nothing that Robert has had. You know, he had no assets to liquidate. He's signing over his royalties to his attorney,
mm-hmm.
allegedly. I mean, he had no land, no property, no
exactly, he
anything.
gave it all exactly because all he was doing was chasing women. That's
Mm-hmm.
why he don't
Right.
have nothing. And back then, it wasn't
Chasing
like it
little
is
girl.
on social media back like it is now. You know what I mean? Everybody knew that tape came out, but it wasn't blown up because
Mm-hmm.
social media wasn't like that the way it is now. Or if you do one thing, you did. I cut somebody out at the store. I'm videotaped on a weekend. I'm probably fired by Monday because it's shown to my employer.
Right.
So I mean, it's a big time difference. I mean, I'm just gonna say social media did do a lot. However, that still didn't change. You still a grown man, still can't sleep with a child.
Right.
That never changed. You have to be held accountable. You know the difference between right and wrong. I'm tired of hearing about the parent. I don't give a shit if somebody walked their child and threw her in the bed with you. You are an adult. You know the difference between right and wrong. That I
Right.
mean,
Right.
that's not going to tell. Just like their minds are made up, our minds are made up too. It's wrong. It's dirty. It's nasty. It's disgusting. And
And it's
I
evil.
can't answer for why you got 30 years. I can't answer for that. That was the jury that did that. I can't answer for the
Well, that was
RICO
the judge. The judge
or
was
the
with
judge. I'm sorry, the judge. You had the jury. You had over 10 lawyers. You could have took the stand for yourself. You had 5 goddamn witnesses.
But
Right. And that's the thing that these pick me women don't understand, is that he hadn't proven his defense in the case. You can't just come out with 3 to 5 people to testify and they have nothing to say on the stand.
Exactly. Nothing
exactly.
at all. If you this big giant, all these people you made that, like you said, this billionaire status, all these people, and like I said, we're not going to take away because he's a very creative person. Back then you had all this music, these number one hits and all that. That's fine and well. Nobody's going to take your talent from you, but you had a secret behind all of those talents. Where the hell are all your friends at? You got people, all these people, petitions and billboards and all. Why none of these people testify for you?
Right. But I kind of wanted to try to answer Shamani question that you asked,
Go
because
for it.
you were asking why are there so many women I guess from the 1960s and stuff, so supportive of R. Kelly. And it reminded me of about, I want to say a year ago, I was on another YouTuber's live, and there was this woman that called in, and she said she was a supporter of R. Kelly, and she talked about the reason why she was so supportive of him is because she had a son who went through a similar situation, but that her son was actually innocent. That I guess a young girl lied on him and said he art her or something like that. And so she said she saw um R. Kelly as her son. And so that's the reason why she was so supportive of him. And so I kind of think that for some women, they may look at R. Kelly as a son because they know, like in the past, their son may have been railroaded by the system. And so they may look at R. Kelly like, oh, he's being railroaded too. I mean, and it's true that we know the history of Black people, being mistreated in this country, by the legal system. However, this is not that. This is definitely not that. Like when I look at young Black men being, criminalized by the legal system, I think of the young boys that were in that movie When They See Us. Those boys
Yes.
were
Yes.
railroaded. Okay? This is not the same thing with R. Kelly. When you look at it, it wasn't until the 20 teens where women started coming out and talking about, yes, he did this to me. But when it came to Aaliyah, she never came out. We found that out because of the marriage document. When it came to Miss Landfair, again, she didn't come out. The tape came out. So it wasn't like before these girls were coming out and saying this. No, the proof just happened to blow it up. And then we happen to see, oh, this is what he's doing. So to me, that's even more further proof. Because even though you may have tried to keep Aaliyah quiet and tried to keep Rashana quiet, because you had proof out there, such as marriage certificate and a tape, that outed you out.
And you lied to the very end.
So it
You
wasn't these
lied.
young girls that was confessing. No, the information was already out there, and that's what outed him out. So to basically discredit that and say, "Oh yeah, it was a marriage certificate," but that was in 1994.
Oh, so
So
what? That tape, you can't bring up that old tape again. Yeah, so
yeah,
what? That was back in the day.
and
Those
to think because this was 25 years ago that he shouldn't be held accountable, like that's crazy. I take it like this: if my mother was murdered in 1991, I don't care if it's 30, 50 years later. If they catch the perp, I want him to go to prison.
exactly. I agree.
So
Yeah, and that's my answer to people who there's people out there publicly saying, "Well, I don't think we should be kicking a man while he's down. He's already been convicted." Like, but we have other victims here in Chicago who need to be, who need to address him and they need their justice too. I don't think it's right to just say, "Oh well,
I
he already
agree.
got 30 years, so we can just shelf this." No,
and
I
think about
agree.
all the victims who have not come forward, who've probably
right.
kept them to themselves, haven't told anyone. What about them? They
And
deserve.
this is
Remember
for
that
them.
one? Remember
Yeah.
one of those Jane Does came out and she said nobody never even knew who she was.
Right.
Remember
And I
that
believe that
story?
there are victims that we have never heard of in this upcoming case. There's one or two, I think. But the truth of the matter is, this man is a serial abuser and rapist. Like
He is.
everybody he meets seem like that's his initiation to them. I need to take you in the bathroom and show you what's what. That's the stories and the patterns that I've been seeing when covering this thing. Now, with regard to Shamanic's question, asking about, why about the people being called fast, and I think there's a lot of different dynamics as to why, these things are happening. Whether it's your household upbringing, there's we talked about this last night, Shamanic, about the generational DNA of trauma. some of us don't even know that our ancestors, our elders, grandparents, and whatnot have passed down their trauma to us energetically. So sometimes people don't even realize they're carrying this trauma and they're reacting to it in a certain way, whether it be protecting the assailant or going against them. You know, there's that the reaction is going to differ depending on the person's, background and everything else.
And I don't care if the person is fast or not. I'm just gonna have to stick to my own guns and say, you are still the adult. You're right. I remember when you first got started, Goddess, and listening to other channels. And I remember the main topic back then was, I've dated plenty of people that's older than me. I dated somebody 20 years older than me. Okay, did you? So let's see. Did you, when you date somebody, did it instantly? You were told you couldn't leave out the room, you couldn't go to the bathroom, you got your ass whipped. That's not a relationship. That's not being in the relationship, dating somebody older. I don't give a shit if the person 90. No one should have to tell you in a relationship to be happy. I'm pretty sure that all these people did not go in a relationship to go into a relationship like this. You go, oh my God, I'm dating a superstar, but guess what? I can't call my family no more. Or guess what? I stepped out of line, so I couldn't eat for 5 days. That's not a relationship.
And that goes back to actually something else we talked about on last night. Last night was a pretty good live, but that goes back to women's, the background of women from history. Like, we as women have been marginalized, have been held back. I mean, I talked about the Salem witch days, where even if you have intuition, which we women do, if you were to use your intuition as just to speak on something you felt and maybe it happened or maybe it was out, they gonna burn you. Because how dare you have some intuition? We don't have that. Men don't have it. And they can't explain it. So you must be a witch. You must be demonic. And so they infused that those ideals into society to shame people for using intuition, to shame people for using gifts in general, and for going against what the men wanted, which women were property. Okay, we didn't have a voice. We were sold by not we, but women were given with a dowry or payment to the man, and like, here, take her off our hands. Here you go. Here's a goat and some gold coins or whatever it was. But this is a historical advancement where we are today. We have gone through the trenches. I mean, from before even the voting laws, but like, the Me Too movement was a big, I would say, pinnacle or pin in the growth of women in general. We have come a long damn way. We got women on the Supreme Court. I mean, and unfortunately, not all of them, are really with women and for women, obviously, because there is an attack on women because they see the shift happening. They're afraid. That's what's happening right now.
Yeah, we made all this progress and now they're trying to take it away.
That's why everybody got to get their ass out there and vote.
Right.
We got to get some of these idiots out of the Senate and the House. Some of these old stale congressmen got to go.
We need to take the boomers
power over people.
Millennials in.
Exactly. Power over people.
I'm gonna show y'all a TikTok on my channel, and it actually has to do with these laws that they're trying to pass. They are trying to erase history. I hate the fact that they call it wokeism or the woke. Like, they stole the woke term that we as Black people have used, and they've made it something else. Like, just because we want to expose the true history of slavery and things like that, they call that wokeism, and that it's ruining the schools and making white people feel bad and white kids feel like shameful. Like, it's ridiculous. Like,
that's not true, because I do remember going to college with a young lady who is white, and she told me she went to a predominantly white school. She told me that I believe it was in her junior or senior year of high school, that they had to review the movie Roots.
Oh, wow.
So some predominantly white schools do talk about Native American and African American history here. It just depends on where it is on the globe, or where it is here in America on
Yeah.
the globe.
That's
So, these people are just blatantly they feel guilty, because I remember I took a psychology class, race and relations. It was a junior class, and 2/3 of the white people couldn't take the information, and they had to drop out of the class. It's just a lot of, I can't take the truth when it's being spoken. They feel extremely guilty, take my word for it. And I took this class over 10 years ago. They feel guilty extremely.
And people don't like that there's this guilt being handed. They don't. There's people that they're going out. These people, these boomers, and whoever these people are, they're on their way out. And before they leave, they want to make sure they put their stamp on the laws and everything. So they're trying their best to get this stuff written out. I'm gonna play this.
And then also they still benefit from it.
Yeah, of course they do.
Benefit from it too. I mean, we can talk about redlining and all that kind of stuff.
So this is my TikTok. Yeah, I'm looking crazy on here, but this is TikTok.
You look wonderful.
I look at the hair, child. But let's listen to this though. Okay, hold on. Let me turn it up and play.
Think that the removal of this clear and simple language condemning white supremacy reveals that the true purpose of this bill is to teach our students a whitewashed version of American history?
No, absolutely not.
It reads like a how-to guide in historical whitewashing. Are you aware that this new version of the bill from the Senate removes the writings of Frederick Douglass?
I am.
Are you aware that this new version of the bill from the Senate removes the writings of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.?
Yes.
Are you aware that this new version of the bill from the Senate removes the history of Native Americans? Yet the new version of the bill from the Senate, this is not the bill we all passed as a House, but the Senate's version, it still includes the writings of Alexis de Tocqueville, and he's not even an American. Could that be because he's a white man? By my count, the new version from the Senate, again, this is not the bill we passed as the House, this is the bill from the Senate, it removes 9 historical figures of color and 6 female historical figures from the bill, which means that all mentions of people of color or women have been removed from this bill. Is that correct?
I'll take your word for it, Representative.
Could an example think?
Okay, so yeah, this is what they're doing. This is what they're trying to do.
I know. I've been knew that. I know that they're trying
to. Okay, well, we're talking to a more than just you, Miss Della. Miss Della.
They can expect America to be unrecognizable because the people are just not tolerant anymore of this debauchery. This is insanity. Mm-hmm. How you are so uncomfortable and you show it every single day. Mm-hmm. It's terrible. Mm-hmm. It's eating at them. I mean, look what they did to Sudan, Kush. I mean, they've completely. You have to go to Egypt to learn anything about Kush. And the thing is that they're trying to whitewash Egypt. It's like Black people can't have anything. Mm-hmm. And it's more than just the Egyptian and as well as the Nubian empires. There were a lot of prominent figures.
In my development, there were nothing came on my street or in my mailbox. But we have like a little, a news for our state. There were 100 flyers stuck in sandwich bags or baggies from the white nationalists and the Ku Klux Klans. That was just a couple of weeks ago. It was thrown in people's yards and in the mailbox. And when they called the police, they said, yeah, they're seeing similar things like this in California, Colorado, things like that. So yeah, so nothing shocks me any longer. Like I said, you got some of these people that are running for some of these senates. These people are Ku Klux Klan. I mean, I ain't never in my life seen nothing like that.
It doesn't surprise me though, because when I was going to high school, I went to a predominantly black high school, and they never talked about black history. They talked more about the Holocaust than black history. And I'm like, if y'all can talk about the Holocaust, as horrible as that was, you need to talk about black history too. And if
And
you
and
about
and
Native
not only
American history,
that though, not only that, if you would have made a complaint stating that you don't want to hear about the Holocaust, you're anti-Semitic. They play
mhm,
their games too,
yeah,
and it's totally ridiculous. They passed the anti-hate bill for them. They refused to pass an anti-hate bill for African American people. They refused.
Mm-hmm.
because now people of Jewish descent, that are white, the white race, they're basically a part of the white race now. So I think that has a lot to do with it too. They also benefit from that white supremacy now, which they didn't always have that type of benefit. And I think they really don't want to acknowledge black history because they know how ugly it is, and they know that that history still is is happening right now. They
Mm-hmm.
know. I mean, when we talk about police brutality, about redlining, about us, every other group of people who've been wrong got reparations, but we haven't, you know,
Right.
and they know these questions would come up if they continue to educate us, because the thing of it is the more we know, the more we want to fight back, the more we want to, you know and that's why they want to continue to keep us and keep our children in the dark, because they know there's going to be a time where we just get completely tired of it, and
Yeah.
they're scared of that, because they know we probably gonna flip out and really do some damage. That's, well, not, let me not say we, but you know that's really what it is, because they're scared of a real revolution happening one day.
And they are not going to be here because they know this is going to be their children, their grandchildren dealing with this. So they want to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
They want to try to erase it, to, bury it, whatever they can do so that they can rest easy when they're buried.
Exactly. I
I
mean, because
agree.
you look at history, that's why they went with Malcolm, with Martin Luther King instead of Malcolm X, because Malcolm
Mm-hmm.
was like, "Oh no, he's necessary," and they were like,
Mm-hmm.
"No, let's get rid of him,"
They
because
chose the more quote unquote passive, or
exactly,
so they thought, passive person. Yeah.
exactly. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
But
No, I got it. I got it.
but
I think everybody got it. I was
but
just,
it all comes down to them knowing, even though they pretend like they don't, like they're not supreme or whatever, they pretend like they don't know that white privilege exists, but that's all so they can continue to keep dominance,
right.
because they're scared that it's gonna flip.
And I think that also is a big part of this whole abortion or Roe v. Wade reversal, because honestly, there are a lot of white girls
Mhm.
who get abortions. And it's nothing to joke about, but the joke was going around that when these people who stopped these abortions see what's being born, they're going to see a lot of dark skin, because a lot of their
Oh, yeah.
girls, their grandparent children are messing around with black guys and
Mhm.
men of color. So they're gonna, I feel, trying to preserve their numbers. Like, we can't have these. They need to stop having these abortions. We need these babies. And not only are they wanting for the numbers for their race or their whatever, but they're also harvesting. We were talking about this yesterday. JC, what was it? The blood cord, the umbilical cords, and the stem cells. They're using that stuff, especially for black women. I don't know if y'all, I also have a video. Y'all need to go on my TikTok, but there's a video of this billionaire propositioning these three African women, young, beautiful African women, for some stem cells. I think they wanted eggs, but they were basically trying $100 he offered. But he was like, this is what keeps me young. This is what they inject this stuff in themselves.
Oh gosh, that is
And
crazy.
they said the melanin, they can't buy it. Like, this is something that is, he was raving on and on about what it is that about Black women that is so unique and dynamic, and he wants some for himself, for his own inner self. He wants to inject some Black womanness into him, for strength and beauty and all of that stuff.
Because
And
we got that magic. We got
Well, I do have to
it
say
is.
though, I am totally against Margaret Sanger, and I always have been. Eugenics to me was a very horrible, horrible thing. I'm not saying that people can't get abortions. That's not what I'm saying. But she's a parasite, I feel.
Who is this?
Margaret Sanger.
Oh, okay. I don't know that I'm up on her.
She's the one who created Planned Parenthood.
Oh,
Oh,
okay. Huh.
I knew her name sounded familiar.
Yeah, I'm out the loop on that one. But definitely thank you for letting me know. Because all I need is a seed. Once a seed is planted, I got it.
And I think
Um,
also they're forcing abortions because there's a lot of women, especially in my millennial generation, that are either deciding not to have kids or deciding to have them later on because, we haven't been able to afford to even have children. That's one of the big things.
mhm.
But they're saying, well, if you're not going to have them, we're going to force you to have them. So I'm out here preaching, y'all better keep y'all legs closed because y'all ain't gonna be able to get no abortion if y'all get pregnant. But
Or spend money you don't have to travel where you can get one. Like, people don't have money. The people they're targeting, they don't have money to be traveling. And by the time they figure it out, they probably already at the pinnacle of when you can even get the abortion. Like, oh damn.
right.
Because the younger people, but it's
And
messed up.
and I think it's horrible, to force a woman to, to have a child that she doesn't want or that she can't afford. I mean, I
Mhm.
think it's more evil to bring a child into the world knowing you can't afford to give it the life that it needs versus you being able to, hey, make this decision to rid yourself of the responsibility. I mean, I'm kind of on both sides of I'm pro and then I'm not, but because in cases where it's like incest or a person was hard, yeah, I think they
Mhm.
should be able to get an abortion. And I don't believe someone should be able to carry a baby to full term if they really don't desire to be a mother, because
Mhm.
there's so many mothers out here that have had children that they didn't want, and because of that they abused the children, they neglected the children, and then you have children that grow up to be messed up adults. So I
Mhm.
believe, taking abortion away is wrong because it is a woman's body and she should be able to choose whether she wants to, carry the baby to birth and take care of it or not.
Mhm.
You know, it's sad that this was voted into office, but it's a lot of these people from this older generation that are out of touch. That's why I said we need to get them out of these positions and need to get some younger people in there because they're just stuck in their ways.
Yeah. And that's the case for a lot of these industry, a lot of things. It's politics and a lot of different industries. People just don't let go. They don't mentor or bring in people up under them teaching. They're just, but we don't, I guess we don't want that for these people. We don't want them teaching people and bringing them up under them, but they do need to let go of these positions, like Ruth Gator Ginsburg. What was her name? I'm sorry, the one that passed away from the Supreme Court. We wanted her, well, Obama was urging her to retire so he could put somebody in place, and she refused. And so of course she dies when Trump's in office and he's
Ugh.
able to fill those seats, which is why things like the Roe v. Wade reversal happen. Because
Hmm.
I feel like we were duped in a sense. It's like, girl, you need to retire now.
She wasn't about to give up that seat.
But she had a whole lifelong, I mean, it was enough already. What's the few more months to go? And she could have
Well,
been,
it's people like her though. They love the power. That's why they're there for so long.
yeah, and I get that. But if you really are about it, you're gonna look at the bigger picture. You're gonna look at, how you're affecting history by holding on until you know, who gets in the office, you know, and who knows how, you know, and then on top of that, you got to watch your back, because you don't know, somebody could be slipping something in your drink, putting something in your sandwich. I'm
Yeah,
just saying, you know what I mean? Like,
we
let's
come.
get her out of here while we
That's
here.
true.
I think that's how
Mhm.
I think, y'all. I realize some may call it a conspiracy theorist way of thinking, but
No, no, you are absolutely right, Goddess.
these things happen.
They do.
Yeah, these things really happen like that.
I mean, I used to get upset, you know, when I was in my early 20s, and my mom would be like, "Okay, be careful when you out there at night." Like, "Oh, mom, leave me alone," you know. But I understand why she was doing those things, because she was like, you know, anything can happen. You know, some people out here are crazy, and they will slip something in your drink and all this and that. You know, that's why she was like, "Hey, you going out to the club with your friends? All of y'all need to stay together. If one of y'all go to the bathroom, y'all all go to the bathroom together." She was like, you know, don't just set your drink anywhere. You know, always have your drink in your hand and your eyes on your drink, because there's
Mhm.
men out here that will try to drug you, try to do something to you. So, um, and it's true. You know, women have to be on alert all the time. I mean, and it's sad, but I mean, that's what we have to do to keep ourselves safe. You
Yeah, for sure. That's a really good point to make, since we were talking about, you know, R. Kelly and his abuse. And that's something else that I feel doesn't come up with him. We were talking about Rashana and the tape and all that.
know,
You know, alcohol and drugs didn't come up in the trial. It
it's
doesn't really come up a lot when I hear conversation, but we know that this man used drugs and alcohol to influence these victims. Um, and I feel like I don't know why the government, you know, because I do feel like they could have dug up some stuff. That's some extra layer of influence that could be used, being that especially they're minors. Um, but yeah, so there's a lot of different reasons and whys about how it all got to be this.
yeah,
Um, and
because
we could talk about this forever, y'all, but I got to go. It's 2 hours. You know, we'll be doing 2 hours
had
now.
so much fun. I'm so glad I joined the chat.
I am too. I'm so glad y'all
Me
came on.
too.
You know,
Me
Miss Bella's
too. And
happy. Like,
Thank you so much,
Hazel
Goddess,
E,
for having me
always
on the
Hazel
panel.
E. And
Yeah.
you're
thank
so
you,
welcome.
Shama. Did I now forgot her name? Stop. Let me look. There you go. Shamanic Journey.
Yes,
You are
That's
so welcome, Miss Della.
I appreciate all y'all, and definitely welcome anytime. Honestly, you know, whenever I drop the link, feel free to come on in. I'm going to be back. You know, we come back typically in the middle of the week, and then back on Saturday. That's just the typical. I might pop in here every now and then with some tea, but other than that, like, we gonna do this again. Thank you for your input, your insight, your knowledge.
Yes, you
Your
know what, Goddess? We need to have
yes, ma'am.
another ladies' night.
Oh,
yeah.
the ladies' night. Yeah, every night is
Yeah,
ladies' night.
well, that is true.
Yeah, but we can definitely have a themed ladies' night. You know what I'm saying? It's not a,
Okay.
yeah, I'm not against it. We could do that next Saturday. So it's all good. We got the trial coming up in what 2 weeks now, so we're definitely gonna be on that.
Get
Um,
the popcorn ready.
definitely get your
No, Lord,
wine,
I
your
got to get
popcorn.
spiritually ready.
That too, child.
Need to
Cleanse.
get
We need to
liquor.
cleanse. You're gonna have to burn your sage before every live. It's gonna be something dark and nasty. That New York trial was bad, but this is gonna be, I think, on a different level. So, all right, unless any of y'all have any final words, we out.
Thank you,
Um,
everybody. Enjoy your week. Bye
Have a
bye.
safe week, everyone,
You
and
too.
yeah,
be blessed.
yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Goddess. Thank you, Miss Stella and um Shamanic. I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. But thank you guys for having me a part of the chat. It was really fun. And make sure y'all like and subscribe. Miss Goddess Dawn.
thank you, thank you. Yes, be
And
blessed, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
bye.
Bye.